Assalamualaikum. Today we will discuss importance of hijab in Islam. Muslim males also required to dress in loose and unrevealing clothing in order to maintain their modesty. Hijab means to conceal or cover. If we see in an Islamic context, hijab represents the dress code required for Muslim females who have reached puberty. Hijab is the requirement of covering the entire body with the exception of the face and hands. Some choose to cover their face and hands. This is referred as burqa. Hijab is not required in the situations where there are only females and certain male relatives present. Hijab is not just about outer appearances, but it's also about noble speech, modesty and respectful conduct. These righteous manners are also required of men. Even though there are many benefits of hijab and it is the first commandment from God, so wearing the hijab is an act of faith and obedience to the Creator. It is mentioned in the Quran in Surah Hijab. O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves of their outer garments. The hijab in no way suggests that women are inferior to men. Allah knows what is best for His creation. For this reason He provided guidance in order to benefit humankind. The wearing of hijab is just like any other act of obedience to Allah. It brings believing women closer to their Lord and helps a sense of satisfaction and contentment to the person wearing it. Islam promotes modesty and decency and helps to minimize immorality within the society. Allah says in the Quran in Surah Nur, say to the believing men that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty that is purer for them, and Allah is well acquainted with all that they do. And say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty. They should not display their beauty except that which is apparent, that they should draw their veils over their chests and not display their beauty. In the above verses, men are also addressed first in regards to lowering their gaze and guarding their modesty. This counters the claim that all responsibility is only for women. Islam discourages a modest dress and sexual behavior, being a practical religion. Islam encourages love, affection and intimacy between married couples in private. The hijab protects men and women and society by creating the stability in both families and communities in a number of ways. The hijab helps like a shield from temptations and harmful desires. The hijab promotes a woman's femininity and grants women dignity and self-respect as opposed to being judged by superficial standards. The hijab grants women the power to shape their own dignity via more meaningful standards like righteousness, knowledge and societal contribution. The journalists asked Nobel Peace Prize winner Tavissu Karman about her hijab, how it is not proportionate with her level of intellect and education. Then she replied, man in early times was almost naked, and as his intellect evolved, he started wearing clothes. What I am today and what I am wearing represents the highest level of thought and civilization that man has achieved and is not regressive. If the removal of clothes again, then it's a regression back to the ancient times. In a number of societies, many women are taught from early childhood that their worth is proportional to their attractiveness. They are forced to follow unrealistic and demeaning standards of beauty in order to satisfy unreasonable pressure and community expectations. In this type of environment where so much focus is placed on external beauty, the internal beauty of the individual counts for very little. However, Islam teaches that a woman is to be respected according to her virtuous character and actions rather than by her looks or physical features. She does not have to use her body and charms to gain acceptance in society. Every woman who wears a hijab or burqa is a unique individual. And it is inaccurate to make a judgment about all such women based on one item of clothing. The hijab enables women to have confidence in themselves as human beings. It increases the self-esteem of women by allowing them to focus on what really matters in life. The problem with physical appearance can have dangerous and unhealthy consequences. And some women go to harmful lengths in order to feel accepted by an increasingly demanding society. The hijab helps to prevent mental and physical harms associated with a lack of confidence. The hijab is not a symbol of oppression and it is not a sign of female inferiority to men. The hijab is not required in places where there are only females and close male relatives. And it is not a means to restrict a woman's freedom to express her views and opinions. Hijab is not means to restrict women from pursuing an education or a suitable career. Hijab has been practiced by many righteous women historically. The hijab is an act of obedience between the Muslim woman and her creator. It is a source of empowerment and dignity, and millions of Muslim women around the world choose to wear the hijab as part of their faith. The hijab is an act of purity, and it is most importantly belief. True equality will occur when women do not need to display themselves to be valued.